Hey everybody, it's Shannon from Lilycreek Photography and Art Studio. Today I'm going to be painting a sunset and you're welcome to paint along with me. You're going to need 3 brushes at least. You can use any brushes you want, but I always use a large brush, a large flat, a medium round, and a small round for detail. I'm going to be using acrylics and you are welcome to use any colors you like. The colors that I'm using are red, orange, I'm using 2 shades of yellow, so a dark yellow and a light yellow, blue, white, and black. And again, you're welcome to use any colors you want. If you want to make it more blues and purples, you're welcome to. I'm going to make it a nice, that red sky at night, sailor's delight. So we're going to get started. First of all, you want to dip your brush in water and then dab it on your paper towel to get that extra water off. And I'm going to start with my blue paint. And I like to paint in a circular motion because we're going to be adding a big sun in the middle. So I'm going to paint kind of going round my canvas. I'm starting with the blue on the sides. And don't worry if you make a little mistake or anything because you're going to end up painting over it, just like that right there. It's fine. It's all going to get blended together. And we're going to bring it all the way to the bottom because we're going to have the water at the bottom, so you don't have to paint so round. You just fill it up. And if you want to paint the edges of your canvas at the same time, you can, so that your colors go right onto the side, so it's ready to hang when you're done. And I'm just using liquid acrylic. You can use, if you have a heavy body acrylic, you can use that as well. I'm using these just because it might be paints that you have laying around your house. If you have kids, I'm sure you have lots of paint that they can use. And again, any colors will work. All right, so I'm done my blue for now. I may go back and touch some up later once it dries a bit, because it is more of a liquid acrylic, so sometimes they don't cover completely. So I'm going to rinse my brush out. Rinse it out really good. And then dab it on your paper towel. And now I'm going to grab my red. Now, when you mix them together, when you go over your blue, your red and your blue will probably turn purple. So I'm going to go in like this. I might need a couple of layers of my red. It's a little thin. And again, you could use any colors you want. I'm going to bring out the red a little bit on top of my blue so it's a little bit more purple. And see how I'm just going over and over and over? It's just helping my color blend. I'm going to go back in with a bit of blue just to darken up that sky a bit. And if you're finding, like mine, that my red is not covering very well, you can always add a bit of white. And the white will make your paint more opaque, so it'll make it less transparent. So I'm going to try that right now, since my red doesn't seem to want to cover. So I'm going to take a little bit of white, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of red, and I'm going to mix it. Now, obviously, it's going to make it a little pink, which is fine. There, see, now it covers a lot better. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow of your paint. You can always go back over it with the red too once this dries, but it will give you a good base so that your red will look more like red. This will give us a pretty good transition though into our oranges and our yellows. And again, I'm just bringing my brush around, hoping it blend. Now I'm going to rinse my brush again. Now I'm going to grab some orange. Now, if you find that your orange is too bright, especially if you had to make it a little bit pinky, then you can certainly add white to that too, so it'll be more like a creamsicle color, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add my orange, and then I'm going to go over it with some white and soften it up again a little bit, since we do have more of a pinky sky than our red at the moment. And again, I'm just going around in a circle still, because our sun will be right in the middle. And I like to start with my outer colors first instead of starting with my sun, because this way we get to blend them all together. So I'm going to add a touch of white and go over, and then I'm just going to keep brushing and letting it blend. You just keep going back and forth and back and forth. All right. And if you need to, you can go over again with your blue or your red. I think I might add a little bit more red in there on the outside. There we go. Now it's covering nicer. Big range of colors. It looks pretty. Makes me want to go out to camp. There. All right, so I'm going to rinse my brush again, and then we're going to add in our yellow. So I think with the colors that I'm using, I'm going to add in my soft yellow. I put both on my palette in case I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use. So I'm going to go in with my soft yellow, and I'm going to make a nice round shape. So you want to make sure if your circle isn't totally round, this is the perfect time, oops, to round it out. And if you need to, you can always use one of your smaller brushes to get your shape down, or you can use the side of your large brush. And don't worry if you get little splatters like I just did, that'll get covered up when you do the bottom. There we go. There, then you can fill it in. And it's okay if your reds and your oranges come into it, right? Because your sun isn't just one color. It's not just yellow. It always has oranges in it, and reds coming through it, blues even. There, and then blend it till you're happy with it. There, I think that looks pretty good. So now you're gonna rinse your brush out. Dab it on your paper towel again. And then we're gonna work on our water. So as you can see, I did my sun in the upper half of my canvas, and I'm gonna do the water at the bottom because we're going to do a reflection of the sun, and we're gonna do some islands and some cattails. So I'm gonna use the same colors as I did in my sky because your sky always reflects in your water. So I'm gonna use some more of my blue just to darken it up a bit. So I'm gonna go over, and this time you can just brush side to side. I am going to bring it up a little bit into my sky, and I do need a little bit more blue. So I'm just adding another layer of my blue before I start adding the other colors. And if yours is solid already, you don't have to. And again, you can paint around the edges of your canvas if you want, or you can paint them later. All right, so now what we're going to do is add the same colors into our water, but you want to do it straight across, so more horizontal instead of going nice and round. So I'm going to rinse my brush again, and I'm going to grab some of the red. And I'm going to go back and forth. Just to add some of those colors from our sky. I made my sky and moon really big, so I am going to bring my water up a little higher. So I'm going to go right about there. There. That's the great thing about paint. You can change anything you want. There. I'm going to add a little bit more red in there. And then we're going to go on to our orange. So rinse your brush out. So if you blend your orange too much into your blue, you'll notice it turns a bit brown because blue and orange are complementary colors. So anytime you mix complementary colors, so orange and blue, red and green, yellow and purple, they will turn brown. So try not to mix too much, just do it nice and light. Once it's there and a little softened, then you can leave it. And now I'm gonna rinse my brush again. And I'm gonna grab some yellow. And I'm gonna put the yellow right underneath the sun because it's gonna be nice and highlighted from that big, beautiful sun that we have there. So I'm gonna go back and forth. And again, we're getting a little bit muddy, but that's okay. We'll go over. And again, I'm just using my large brush. If you feel more comfortable using your medium brush, you're more than welcome to. And I think I'm going to use my medium brush now, so I'm going to wet it. And this way I can go in and add some more detailed lines. So I'm going to come through and I can add some smaller lines. And I'm just brushing back and forth, and I'm kind of just letting the brush hit where it wants, so it's not big, bold lines. And if you find your paint's too wet to do any fine details right now, you can always leave it and come back to it. So that's a good start for now. I'm going to now add some islands. So in the distance, we're going to have some islands. And now they're going to be black because it is a sunset. The sun will be behind them, so they'll be in shadow. So either use your medium brush or your small brush. And I like to start out with a line at the bottom first. So I do one on each side, and I like to stop before the middle just to let the sun break through. So I'm going to stop about there on each side. Now, this is the fun part. It's super easy. You can just do whatever you like with it. I like to do like my mountains. So you just kind of let your brush wiggle. Then you have some mountains there. And I'm going to do this one on the same one on the other side. Like that. And then we're going to fill them in. So you're going to just fill it in black. You can use your small or medium brush, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And don't worry too much about the shapes because they are islands way far off in the distance. So they're just going to look like squiggly lines. There's one. I'm going to do the other side. And I hope everyone's having fun doing this. It should not be stressful. It's supposed to be very relaxing. Just picture yourself on an island looking out at the sun. There. Now we got our islands. It's starting to come together really nicely. All right, so now that we have our black still, actually I'm just gonna fix this one little part here. All right, I like to do some shadows coming in from the sides in the water, just so that our sun and the reflection is what's really like what your eye's drawn to. So I'm going to keep my medium-sized brush, and I'm just going to drag it in from the side. So I'm just flicking. And I'm just going quite quickly down the side. And you can have some come out farther than others. It doesn't need to be a straight line or anything. You want it to look pretty natural. It's like you're looking through a camera, maybe. It's giving you the shadows along the side of the water. And then we'll do some on the other side. And again, if you only want to do them by the islands, that's okay too, or you can bring them right down. It's totally up to you. Beautiful. All right, so now what I'm going to do is add a bit in the foreground, because we have our midground, which is the islands, and then we have our sun, which is in the background. So we need to add some kind of focal point at the front here. So I'm going to use my black again, and I'm just going to create some ground. So you can make it as straight or as wavy as you want. So that's my ground, and I'm just going to fill that in black. So again, using your medium brush or your small brush if you only have a small area. And you can make it look rocky, you could make it smooth, it could just be a nice sandy beach. There we go. And now what we're going to do is add some cattails. So they're very simple. When I teach my kids classes, I like to say that we're drawing flying hot dogs. So what we do is get your small brush, and you're gonna dip it in your black. Now, these are in the foreground, so they're gonna be big, because they're gonna be like, it's like if you're sitting down on the ground and you're looking out, those will be the closest thing to you. So they're gonna be nice and big. So I'm going to make one right here. So you wanna make like a skinny, flat oval, like kind of like the shape of a hot dog. Like that. And I'm going to do another one a little bit higher. All right, so I'm gonna do 2 on this side, and I'm gonna do 1 on this side. I like to do 3s. I like to do odd numbers. So you can do as many as you like. You can do 5 or 10 or whatever. I like to keep it in 3s. Then you're going to paint it in. And again, you can use your smaller, your medium brush. Your medium one will go a little faster. And then you want to make this the stem of it. So I like to start up at it and then go down. And you can have them straight or curved. So you go like that. And then our next one, go this way. Oops, that guy got a little bit wide at the bottom, and that's okay. And I dragged it through my water. So I'm going to fill in these guys. Now I like to add the little stem at the top of them. So just use your small brush and do a little line at the top. Oops, that one's a little fat. There you go. And now you can add in some grasses and stuff at the bottom. So I like to just kind of press and flick and make them natural looking. Just kind of go wherever your brush wants to go. You can add short ones and long ones, and I like to crisscross them so that they look more like real grass, because it doesn't always go one way. So I'm just pressing and flicking. And you can add as much or as little as you want. I do like to add a couple nice long ones. So I go up, and it has a tip, and then from there I'm going to go down, because I like to bend. You can add some long ones. Oops. And one more. There. Now you can add a couple highlights, and then we're done. So you can add either yellow highlights or white. It's up to you. I think I'm going to stick with my yellow. And I'm just going to throw a couple highlights on these guys, just nice light ones at the top where the sun is hitting them. And you can add some through your stems if you want. And then even on some of the grass. There. I think we're all done. You can add you can add as much or as little to it as you want. You could add some birds in the background if you want. You could add some fireflies. You could add anything you want. And yeah, I had a wonderful time painting with you today, and I hope you join me again. And take care. Have a great day.